So with my chest in place, we're now going to work on the animation. The idea is, with this animation, is to have the camera start looking at the chest and kind of zoom in dramatically as I'm kind of simulating here, till it gets to the point where the chest is quite big in the center of the camera's view. The first thing we need to do that is we need to position the camera so it is looking directly at the chest. So to start that process, we're going to take a look at where the camera is currently looking by tapping the 0 key on the keypad. And you can see it's looking into the corner of the room, and we want to have it look at the chest. So I'm going to click on the camera, and now the camera can be moved and rotated just like any other element in Blender. And I'm now going to reset its Z rotation, so that's around its Z axis. I'm going to set that to 0, so it's looking right down the green Y axis. So I'm going to press 0 and I'm going to press enter. Still not exactly where we want it, so I'm going to press G to move the camera, and Y, and I'm going to move it back a little bit. Bring it back, and then I'm going to press G and X to move it across the X axis so that the chest is roughly in its center, and I'm going to press G and Z to lower it down. Now it's roughly on a level with the chest, but I need to sort of rotate the camera up. Now the axis I need to rotate it around is the X axis, so it kind of rotates it up and down. So I'm going to press R and X. I'm going to move it up until the chest is roughly in the center of my camera. And now you can see when I zoom, that's the effect that we're aiming for. That's the effect that we're aiming for. So with the camera set up ready to go, I'm going to show you how to do animations in Blender. So the first thing we're going to do is just to lift up the animation bar so that we can get a good look at the keyframes, at the frames, sorry, here. The frames, as you can see, are numbered across the top, and these represent the number of frames in the animation. They can go on forever. You can define how many you get with a start and an end there. This is set to from 1 to 250, but I'm probably going to change that a little. Now, before we go any further, I just need to mention that the typical frame rate for Blender is 24 frames per second, which means 24 is 1 second, 48 is 2, 72 is 3, and so on and so forth. So bear that in mind when you are stretching your animations over a number of frames, that 24 frames is only 1 second of animation. So the way animation works in Blender is you insert what is known as a key frame. And a key frame is almost the start of the animation, or at least a section of the animation. And you then add or insert a second keyframe that acts as the end. And all you need to do is set the position at the first frame, set the position at the end frame, and Blender will fill in the gaps. And I'll show you what I mean by that. I've got my camera selected, so I'm going to click on my camera. You see down here, I've got the frames at the bottom. I'm going to press I. I'm going to tap the I key. And you'll notice that in the transform menu, everything has turned this sort of yellowy brown. And you'll notice that here, where my playhead is positioned, you'll see that there's a marker come underneath it. So I'm going to take my playhead now, and as I move it, you'll notice that the transform menu turns green. So I'm going to move it to 24. So I'm going to move it to 24. And this is the start of my keyframe, and I've put the playhead where I want the frame to end. And I'm going to press now, just as I would to move anything in Blender. I've got the camera selected. I'm going to move the camera across the Y axis by pressing G and Y. And I'm going to move it up to a little bit closer to the chest. I'm going to move it to about there. I'm going to press left click to release, and I'm going to tap I again. And you'll notice that the original marker turns grey and the new marker turns yellow. And when I move my playhead back, you can see it's beginning to animate. So I'm going to click play. You see how it zooms in there, look. Let's pause that and pull it back. Can you see how when I move the playhead, when I drag it, it's moving? If I'm not happy with the length of the animation, for example, how long it takes, I can click on my keyframe and I can move it further on. So I'm going to move it to 36 seconds, and you'll notice it still does exactly the same. It just takes a little bit longer to do it. And you can do it the other way. You can make it shorter if you wish. So that's how you add keyframes. But it isn't just for movement. You can animate all kinds of things. I'm now going to animate to rotate the camera, because if you notice, the camera looks above the chest, and I don't want it to. I want it to focus on the camera. Apologies, I want it to focus on the chest. So now, with my keyframe selected here, I'm going to rotate my camera around the X-axis, the left to right axis, in the direction that I'm looking, so that it focuses on the camera. So I'm going to tap, on the chest. So I'm going to tap R and X. I'm going to nudge my mouse forward till it's in the middle. I'm going to click, and I'm going to tap I to confirm the keyframe. And then now, when I observe my animation, you can see that it's moving forward, but it's also focusing on the chest. And you can see it's quite that dramatic movement. And there's one last thing I'm going to do, just to add a little bit more of a sort of a drama to it. I want the corner of the room to be in the camera's view. So I'm going to click on my, I'm going to click on my walls. I'm going to hold down Shift, I'm going to select them all. I'm going to select my floors again, avoiding the chest. And then I'm going to tap R for rotate, Z to rotate around the Z axis, and I'm going to position it so that kind of the corner of the room is behind my chest. And then I'm going to tap 0 to look into my camera view. And now I'm going to press Alt and A to deselect to get rid of all those orange lines. And now when I play my animation, there we go. If you can't find your keyframes, the keyframes are applied to the object. So if you can't see them on here, for example, when I was moving the wall, the keyframes aren't here on the timeline because the keyframes that we've put in so far are attached to the camera. So when I click on the camera, keyframes are there.